Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready to rock? We have a special Father's Day weekend edition of Offstage with DWP. I am with special guest and good SoCal buddy of mine, Fletcher from Pennywise. What's up, Fletcher?
How are you, sir?
You know,
pretty good.
Yeah, we've had better days, but at least, you know, we get to do this together in hopes that one day, 2021, we can all see each other at a festival with sweaty people and having drinks and ready to see some rock and roll.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's what the plan is, right? Hurry up and wait and rearrange and hurry up and wait and cancel and go again. But I don't know, we're starting to come out of it. It looks like there's some good news on the horizon. So
we feel that too. We feel that too. If everybody keeps on just taking care of themselves and being responsible, and we'll get out of this. And you know, we're both in California, and obviously we've been hit hard out here. Anybody you know personally that's had that CV-19?
Had a couple friends of friends have it, and a couple friends' parents have it, and actually pull out of it. Got a lot of friends in healthcare that are working at hospitals and ERs, and you know, just taking care of patients. And I don't know, like you can watch the media, and there's you know, a million different trains of thoughts about what's going on. But I mean, at the end of the day, the people that are in there that I know are really scared and seeing like a lot of really crazy stuff. And if you know somebody in there, you're going to get more of a detailed, you know, look at it, and a little bit of a scarier look at it. So yeah, I know a couple people peripherally, and it's definitely gnarly.
I think, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, Pennywise, you did one of the last concerts. You were in Europe maybe mid-March?
No, we were actually, we were in South America. We were in Costa Rica, but we didn't play. Like I literally was down there a couple of days early. We were Costa Rica, then Chile with Offspring, and then Brazil with whatchamacallit, Offspring, and it turned into the show in Costa Rica got canceled, and then the rest of it got canceled one by one. So it's definitely, we were right there waiting at the resort on the beach, waiting for the gig to start, and it didn't happen. And now my dog's out here making noise. Let me kick him out of here.
Let me see the dog. Let me see your pup.
Hold on.
Oh, that's Pig.
That's Mr. Pig right here. Check him out.
Love it.
Say hi.
So we're doing a special edition of Offstage with Fletcher of Pennywise. My name's Gary Spivak. I'm in my kitchen, and Fletcher's obviously there. He is in his island. There's a backstory to what we're doing here. Rock on the Range 2018, and there's my home phone. Great. Rock
there
on
you
the
go.
Range.
Hey, don't worry. It's all the same. Let me.
And we're back. That was quarantine technical difficulties at Offstage with DWP.
Luckily, Pig didn't start smelling food, or he would have taken over the whole interview. It's the loudest, craziest dinosaur velociraptor noises you've ever heard. So we're clear.
That's the thing with there's studies with all being in quarantine. I have a dog as well, that you're home all the time and they see you, like, so they think, okay, that we're supposed to hang out and play. You're here, so let's go walking. Well, why are you not taking care of me right now?
Or eating with this guy. He's just we call him truffles because he's just constantly sniffing around for food scraps. So he's an interesting character. But it's been good to be in quarantine with my lady, and also with a dog, you know, man's best friend. So yeah, can't complain about that.
Same. So the backstory of why we're here, and both in our kitchens, is Backstage at Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio. On Sundays, the festival promoters love to do an after party. And so we had this elaborate setup in our backstage, and the Chili Peppers were closing out the night. It was a great night. It included Pennywise and At the Drive-In and the Deftones, and of course the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And so we had this great backstage setup, and nobody showed up. We felt like fucking losers. So like, where is everybody? So word came around that the action was actually in the parking lot backstage between the Pennywise and the Deftones buses. It was the best after party that DWP's ever been a part of. And Deftones were playing DJ. They were rocking like classic rock and like dubstep reggae. And then Fletcher was running around being an MC and a host with this big watermelon full of God knows what, and maybe we'll find out today. You care to kind of talk about what you're going to be doing in a second?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea obviously the idea has been around for a long time, but I think the idea originated with Josh Home backstage somewhere when he invited us into his dressing room after our dressing room was obviously, we were done with all the alcohol, and we get a lot. So late night, and I was like, "What's up with the watermelon? Are you gonna eat that?" And he's like, "No, man, I don't even know why that thing's here." And just sliced the top off and went to work on it and turned it into a cocktail. That was like one of the first times I've done it. But backstage that night with you, I think it was a honeydew melon for some reason. So I do have a honeydew melon. I don't know why. Are you sure it was a watermelon or was it a honeydew?
Dude, let's just go with.
You were wasted.
I'm going to go with honeydew. And it's funny. We, no sex or drugs or rock and roll for Ian. We don't get wasted at our shows until Sunday night at 11 o'clock. And by then, everybody's gone and everybody's tired and it's up to like the staff, and we're like, let's party. And thankfully you guys were there. It was a long weekend. And you were there being the best bartender we've ever had.
I think I was maybe force feeding everyone a little bit too much, and it took a couple times around the block for everyone to get used to the fact that I was ringing, making it calling it hand rung. I was just going barehanded in there and making the cocktails, but I'm only 6'6", 300 pounds, so if I tell you to drink something, you're probably gonna have to at least take a sip. So, about I don't know how long later, we were all pretty buzzed. I remember leaving that night. Me and Randy, our bass player, got into it, and we were going to fight. And then, it would have been a brotherly love fight. But he took off running through the parking lot, which he likes to do when he gets drunk. And then as it wound down, I had to get out of there. So I was like walking the streets, and I couldn't get an Uber. I don't even know what I was doing, just stumbling around with the melon. I still had the melon with me. And this girl that was at the party that I think might have worked for you, actually, I can't remember her name. She was driving by. And she's all, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to get back to this hotel." And she's all right, I'll give you, I'm like, "Please give me a ride." So as we're driving, we see Randy like jogging down the street because that's what he likes to do, jog when he's drunk. We picked him up, and then we went to a bar next to the hotel, and I had the melon in there still full of vodka and hand-wrung melon juice. And they were good with me. I was sitting at the bar drinking it. I think I ran out of vodka, and they refilled it for me. I did some more work, and I kept going. And then Randy snuck out, and then the chick snuck out, and I was just left there by myself and stumbled back to the room and saw you at the airport the next morning, fucking dying.
And there, my friends, is the glamorous life of rock and roll. Jogging down I-70 in Columbus, Ohio, with the bass player Pennywise. and you're hungover. Yeah.
Good times.
Maybe let's get cracking with this, and I can ask some questions. And I have some questions of some Pennywise folklore. And maybe if you're able to kind of, chew gum and walk at the same time. And while you're doing that on this special edition of Offstage, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So one of my favorite things, Fletcher, is an ice cold beer. And this, I happen to have a Pacifico with me.
I can do that. Let me see.
All right.
Here we go. I think I got some Coronas in here. You can do that while we're mixing. Here's a little tip for you in case if you don't have a way to open a beer, you just, any ring will do. See? It's that easy.
Hey, cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
It is 5 o'clock somewhere. What is your favorite beer before a show? And I say before because I know you have beers before a show. It's
this one.
That's the beer.
Yeah, that's my favorite beer.
And what about after a show?
I drink Coronas on stage, and I don't know why. I think the first years of Pennywise were all about Budweiser because I grew up doing construction, and every day was beer 30 at 5 o'clock, and it was always Budweiser. My dad was a Budweiser guy, but Byron loved Corona, our drummer. So he always had it on the rider, and I'm pretty sure, I'd have like rum or vodka, depend on what year it was, because I always rotated through different hard alcohols. And then Jim might have some red wine, Randy would be whatever, and Byron had his Coronas. And if he took his Coronas, he'd get pissed off. So everything was everybody's, but I don't know. I think I just like drinking Byron's Coronas to get him mad. And so I just wound up liking Corona, and then that wound up in my little beer holder. I actually have a beer holder on my microphone stand because Jim would get pissed because after every song I'd just retreat to my amp, take a couple hits off the beer bottle or the rum cup, whatever was closest, and then go back. And I interact with the crowd a lot. So he was like, hey, you can't be fucking going back there every song and spending 3 minutes drinking and coming back. So we devised a little cup holder like you'd have on a fucking bicycle or something, and finish a song, take a sip, put it back. So I didn't have to go back to my amp so many times. So my pre-show, after-show, and stage show beer is Corona at this moment in time, but that could change depending on what city I'm in and what local beer might be better than Corona. So that's it.
Corona is getting a kind of a bad rap right now. It's I personally, this Pacifico Corona, I'm a big fan of Sol and even Modelo. But I love them cold, ice cold. Not like that British room temperature shit.
Yeah, I mean, beer's got to be. Is that good? Is that good for Corona advertising right there?
Yeah. What, you looking for a sponsorship?
I'm looking for a sponsorship. Just trying to work my way into their pocketbook.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci, you watching?
Cold beer is the way to go. Like a beer chest full of ice on a hot day is definitely one of the most refreshing things you can do. So I'm with you on that.
So while you're kicking off and showing everybody on off stage with DWP what you're going to make, and maybe a couple dads out there could steal your recipe. You mentioned that you were doing construction, that your dad construction. You're from Hermosa Beach.
Yep.
And I'm a West LA kid, so I got to ask you. Hermosa really is an OC. It is kind of us LA kids considered an LA beach. Was that ever a thing for you? Are you an OC band? What would you say when somebody asked you that?
Well, Hermosa was kind of its own entity, and growing up in the city, it was all about surfing and skateboarding since I could get in the ocean. Live 2 blocks from the beach, and so it was boogie boarding and then surfing and skateboarding backyard pools and stuff. So we kind of had our little scene going on down here, and then you had Venice, which was the Dogtown guys, Tony Alva and all them, who were like the rulers of the planet back in those days as far as being cool. I mean, if you're into skateboarding or surfing, the Z-Boys, And then Orange County, whatever, we talked about it. We went down there and surfed Huntington Pier, and they had their scene going. But when punk rock kicked in, it became kind of like there was almost a rivalry. There was the Venice guys, which turned into Venice Suicidal. And then there was Huntington Beach guys, the OC guys. And then there was the Hermosa crew. And Hermosa had Black Flag, Circle Jerks, the Germs, the Descendants. So everyone knew who we were. And there was a really small punk following in the early 80s around here. I'd say maybe 60, 80 people from this city. I mean, maybe 150 or something. But it was a really small faction of people. And going to shows, there'd always be problems. We had problems with the suicidal guys for a long time. Come around the corner, you're rolling 4 or 5 deep, and there's 30 suicidal guys. Shit would get bad quick back in the old days. And the Huntington Beach guys were notorious for being violent. And we'd go down there to the Cuckoo's Nest, which killer documentary on that. If you guys ever anyone wants to tune in on that. But
yeah, what is the name of that doc?
It's a good question, but it's actually pretty rad. And the thing about OC was it was really violent. The Cuckoo's Nest was super scary because you had the punkers who were crazy, and then you had this cowboy bar down the street, and the cowboys would literally roll up into the parking lot, fucking wasted, looking to beat on some punk rockers, and hence the song, Urban Cowboy by the Vandals. I'm going to get in my FS car going down to the cowboy bar, wait till the club gets full, ride the mechanical bull. It's a legendary, really cool song, and that was about that shit. So I'd literally be in the parking lot drinking, maybe smoking some PCP or something like that back in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
and here comes 20 dudes with cowboy hats bailing out of the back of pickup trucks and just coming at you. And these are older dudes. They're like, big old cowboy type guys in their late 20s, 30s, coming in just mopping, just bombing on 14, 15, 16-year-olds. I mean, of course, they were older punkers, but yeah, it was pretty scary down there. And so Hollywood was the same. We were just kind of on an island, but we all got along for the most part as punk rockers, but there were these little scenes. So I don't know. We had our crew down here, and it was we rolled pretty deep and pretty hard, and we had some gnarly guys that were older and bigger than me at the time. And I just made sure I was under their wing while I was climbing the ladder of becoming one of the older, gnarly, bigger guys.
We're of similar age. Did you go see like X and the Surf Punks and even like early go-go shows back in the day?
I saw the Blasters in I want to say it was like 79, right down here in Hermosa at Pure Avenue Auditorium. There was, I started going to shows in 80, so I saw it all. I saw Black Flag, Descendants, Dead Kennedys, Circle Jerks. I was at Exploited's first show. The only band I didn't see literally was the Germs. I saw all Minor Threat shows, saw Scream, saw the Stains, East LA, Saccharine Trust, every show that I could go to I was at. So X, of course. Go-Go's, I probably didn't see the Go-Go's. I was leaning the more dangerous way on the Go-Go's.
Right.
But,
punk in LA, the aesthetic early on wasn't this kind of surfer kind of tough boy mentality. It was a little more artsy back then with bands like X and guy I'm drawing blank, the Weirdos.
The Weirdos, awesome band. Saw the Weirdos tons of times. Tackled John Denny off the stage more than a couple times. Took over the mic for Helium Bar. That was the thing. Like when I started getting the punk rock down here, I immediately shaved my head, or not immediately, but shaved my head, painted Black Flag bars on my surfboard, and like the surfers, there weren't a lot of surfers into punk rock. There were, but not concentrated here. So it was super frowned upon. Like all the older dudes were like, the guys that hung out and surfed with were all normal dudes. They're like 4 or 5 years older, and they would just constantly beat the shit out of me and call me tennis ball head and stuff, and didn't get it at all. But for me, it was all about rebelling and just I finally connected with a certain music. I wasn't really into Led Zeppelin or the Doors and that kind of shit. I was into like Devo and the B-52s and the Flying Lizards, and then when I heard the Dead Kennedys, Holiday in Cambodia, or Bad Brains Pay to Come, I was just like instantly, this is my jam. I could feel it in my bones. This is what I would do. Started going to shows, and then I was like, I want to be on that stage and I want to start playing. So I actually started a band called Con 800 in I think it was like late 80s, late 1980, 81, and had a pretty cool little run of backyard parties, a couple clubs in Hollywood, and full-blown destruction. I'm talking full-blown house wrecking parties of unsuspecting teenage kids that would let us set up in their living room while their parents are gone. Those were some good days, man.
Those were your early shows. So you went to Mira Costa as you're getting into your honey drip right now. We are off stage with DWP. I got Fletcher of Pennywise, who's about to make a concoction that everybody watching is going to have to steal. What I know, again, being an LA boy of Mira Costa, that's like a sports mecca high school. There's like a lot of professional athletes that went to that high school. Was there a division between jocks, and were you the guy on the grassy knoll, or was it equal?
There was a huge division, and it was like, by the, in my freshman year is when I started getting into punk rock. And by the end of the year, 80, I cut my hair. And there was a lot of guys that were going full bore, coming to school in leather jackets and engineer boots and bandanas and shit. I was kind of more just like the Black Flag shirt and a flannel and some Converse or something. But it was probably like 20 kids at high school of 800 that were into punk rock. And you walked the halls and you would get attacked on the regular by wrestlers, by meddlers. Meddlers were like huge enemy, like lots of fist fights with meddlers. And there was the parents didn't like punk rock, the cops didn't like punk rock, the teachers didn't like punk rock. And so you had this constant feeling of being under threat of someone just going to literally jump out of a car and beat the shit out of you, going to get hassled by the cops, going to get a gun put to your head. And that was all real stuff, but it was really cool being at that point of it. Because, I mean, I've been in it for like, I guess that's like, what, 40 years is that? 40 years about?
Yeah,
45 years. God damn, 40 years. Holy
Drink
shit.
to that.
I mean, lucky I don't have any mirrors in my house. I might think I was old or some shit. But at the end of the day, like now, punk rock's still rebellious, metal's rebellious. There's there's an edge to it. But back in those days, it was unlike anything that will ever happen again. I mean, maybe something might come along in 10 or 15, 20 years that I can't predict. But being part of that scene and seeing that stuff go down in those days cannot be reenacted. Like whatever happens now, there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in the Pennywise world and shows and festivals all over the world and fun shit like making melon drinks and getting wasted. But that stuff you weren't respected. Now, if you're in Green Day or you like Pennywise or Offspring, it's mainstream shit, at this point. And my doctor, my fucking knee doctor knows who I am. And he's like, I'm a fan and comes to our shows. And so it's like, we've elevated ourselves from these little scummy white trash kids or whatever you want to call us, beach rats, to an actual viable form of music that has some meaning and isn't just yelling and screaming as people thought it was. So it's pretty cool to ride that up and be part of it. I didn't really go to school much. Maricosta, I kind of used it as a place to pick up cars, borrow cars, and
borrow cars.
Borrow cars. I had a pretty good little system going. I'd go to like the yuppie kid's backpack, and I would get his keys because after I checked him out for a while, I'd realize he's the guy that doesn't ever leave campus. He's like one of those guys. I drive my car, I park it, I go do my schooling, and I go home like a good boy.
Yeah.
I just ride my bike to school. After I got the keys out of the backpack, which they would think, I lost my keys, right? So they give me their spare set. So I just had like 5 sets, and I would just roll to school and just go directly to whatever car I chose. I had a 66 Mustang that was in regular rotation.
Oh,
full outsiders, yellow Mustang. And I just get a couple buddies and we just cruise Palos Verdes. I mean, like I'm talking 15, 16, like driving cars, smoking substances that aren't marijuana, and drinking, and literally cruising the fucking streets, doing burnouts on every corner, cruising the streets of South Bay, bring the car back and park it before 2 o'clock, and then go do whatever we did that day, go to band practice or hang out. So school wasn't really, I'm not very good at spelling or punctuating, let's put it that way. But
kids, like Charles Barkley, Fletcher's not your role model, but you can inspire to rebel.
Come on, dude. I got beer, I got alcohol, I got a house. What's up?
Okay, let's role model it up. All right, let's put a knife in one of those melons.
What's that?
Let's put a knife in one of those melons.
Yeah, all right. We're gonna go. I'm pretty sure this is what we did that night. Was a honeydew, but we'll make a couple.
Okay.
See how we did. I haven't done this for a while, so we're just gonna go ahead and chop a finger off because for my career.
Yeah, don't need that.
I've been looking. Well, that was great. I've been looking for some new knives. I just haven't got around to them yet. So there you go. Lid's off. It's kind of like carving a pumpkin, right? So
it looks like you make like a center.
Yeah, I mean the idea is to keep as much of the meat of the melon in there. Get the seeds out. Oh, I forgot to sterilize my hands.
There is the hand wrung moment right there.
Sorry, I got sterilized over there. Sorry, COVIDers. I would be going rubber glove and really masking up, but I'm safe. I've been self-isolating. So, as you can see, we're getting in there and just pulling the seeds out, which it's okay if you get a seed in your beverage. It's not going to kill you.
All right, so this is a seedless cocktail.
We're getting most of the seeds out real quick. So we got that going on.
Well done.
And then it's pretty basic. I got this little holder I came up with. We're going vodka because I think that night we were doing vodka, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Let's go with it.
And the good thing about this beverage is that you can put a lot of vodka in here. So we got a little Tito's handmade. Get it? Get the joke? Handmade?
Yes.
I just thought of that right now. Pretty funny.
I could tell.
So we're just gonna go. We're gonna go for like a pretty decent amount of vodka up in there, and we can always add more later. And then just take bear paw or whatever size paw you have. We'll sterilize it. Sterilize it now.
Add to the flavor.
Yeah, add to the flavor. And then it's just going to be basically getting in there with your dirty fingernails and just going to town. Whoops. All right, that didn't work out. Let me get another little chop. I swear to God, I haven't done this since that night. So that's right. This melon's not quite as ripe as I wish, but get a couple chunks floating around in there. And then, yep, that's right. I remember this now.
Okay.
Remember, I cut myself eventually, and we were drinking bloody melon balls. I think that's when the party stopped, actually.
You may need to sign a waiver from us at the end of the show.
Yeah, this is definitely not a good idea. Not good representation of knife use. So yeah, that's right. Break it down, and then you just got to get in there and just literally. I think I kept screaming hand rung melon, or something like that.
Right. There was kind of a shining moment, like a red rum, hand rum.
Like that. So literally fingernail grabs on the side, which is pretty nasty. But I did actually wash my hands on the other one.
I saw it.
And then it's just literally a matter of squeezing this stuff in, squeezing all the juice out, and just doing this till you can feel it. I put too much vodka in to begin with. I got no room to work here. But that's what the dog's for. He can get on that later. All right, so the basic theory of that is to just, it would probably take me, I was working for about, 5 minutes per drink. So I'd wring it out a bit like that. And then I'd pour the beverage.
There you go. And he's back. We are off stage with DWP, and Fletcher is making his famous Backstage honey drip hand wrung cocktail for everybody to steal and be a hit at summer barbecues, Father's Day picnic, and 4th of July, Labor Day, Columbus Day, freaking Memorial Day, festival tailgate.
I was actually thinking that, if you had a mashed potato masher, I might even have one in here, that would probably work pretty good. But I remember, yeah, that's right. I was chopping with the knife, therefore I cut myself that night. And I think we had a bigger melon going on at that time. But
it was a big one.
It was my hands were fucking dry. We'll do a watermelon, or we won't, but whatever. So basically, once it's wrung out, which I would spend more time wringing it in the real world.
Yeah.
And then we're just gonna pour some in. If you get some chunks involved in your beverage, it's no big deal. I think that night we were having an ice shortage at some point, but check it out. Oh my God! I'm not joking. It is really good. I'm gonna make my chick take a sip. I'm not gonna film her because she's naked. But hey. How are you? Wait, I'm here. Oh, shit.
I like it.
How fucking good is that? It's no joke. That's like...
It's really good.
You don't need to add anything because you got the melon in there for your for the mixer.
It's literally no joke. Not because I made it, because it's nothing to make it. It's insanely good, and that's straight vodka with just a little bit of melon, and it's not even strong. It totally takes I don't know why fruit just takes the edge off of...
Yeah,
alcohol.
sure. And with the watermelon, you can get a whole different flavor going on that. I like it.
Bring that over here a little bit. So now look what we got in here. Okay, look down inside. So we got all this chunk, right? And I've used only a little bit of the juice. So I got some of this pre-chopped, if you want to go that route, and want to throw some cantaloupe in there, and maybe even a little watermelon as you go along, whatever fruits you like. we can just get that in the mix then. And then I'm going to look for that friggin' potato masher. Do I have one?
All right. While you're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about the band again, because for us at DWP, Pennywise became a very important band for us, because we were talking, with Tim and Rise Against, we didn't want to be just one thing. We felt rock and roll what should be more than just one lane. And like they do in Europe, which we want to steal a page from, you mentioned metalheads you had issues with in high school. Well, we wanted to bring everything together, and we wanted to have, Slayer and Lamb of God, but we also wanted to have Pennywise and Bad Religion and Rise Against. And then we wanted to have, straight ahead rock and roll. And you became a very important booking for us. And the one thing we love about what Pennywise brings is you kind of just take away the stage. It doesn't become the audience and the band. It becomes just one. And has that always been a thing for you and Pennywise? And is that from your punk rock roots?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you should mention that, because I was talking to Justin, who is our original bass player, Jason Thirsk's little brother. Jason passed away in '96, but we were talking about like Pennywise values and like what it was about and in the early days and blah blah blah. And it really was like we were punk rock's punk rock. It's kind of like no rules, do what you want, be who you want. But Pennywise was like backyard party band, and if I needed to buy a keg or two to lure 150 people to a backyard, I would do it. No matter what. I remember one time I called the cops from a house party that I was at after I spent 20 minutes telling everybody we were playing at 12:30 at this other location. Called the cops and had the cops raid the house party, and everyone just went straight to the Pennywise show, like half a mile away. That you had to do some marketing back in there. It was guerrilla marketing.
Literally,
but
that's
those
outstanding.
Days, it was like. It was all about camaraderie and just that close-knit vibe of backyard parties. And, we had Broham going in those days, and it was just like all our friends piling on top of us on somebody's backyard deck or, sand lot or whatever the fuck we were doing. And it was just a really up-close and personal thing. And it was very friend-oriented, and our following was very friend-oriented. So when we took that to the stage, in bigger venues, eventually, the Whiskey, which were banned for life apparently after that show. I begged the chick recently to let us back, but she won't let us back.
They're lost.
But it was, the ethos of the band is kind of we're all created equal. There's no one's better, no one's smarter, no one's faster, no one's stronger approach of just kind of like we're all in this together. And when we're up on stage, we're not rock stars. We're not up there, in a bunch of, $5,000 leather jackets, and no ill will towards that, but we were just stripped down and just kind of like, hey, this is who we are, and the audience is just as big a part of it as we are. Like, we're not trying to be up there on a pedestal. Look at us, we're rock stars. We're the guys saying, hey, we want 800 people backstage, and we're buying the beer and we're having a party. And then that turned into playing Broham and people just our friends coming up, and then it turned into everybody coming up. And I don't know, like, what a crazy thought to like maybe be at your favorite band show, get invited on the stage, and like wrap your arm around the singer and fucking sing one of your favorite songs with him. I mean, everybody wants to do it, and a lot of bands, nowadays can get that happening, from Limp Bizkit to, Suicidal to Pennywise to Morrissey. But sure. It's cool. It strips down the barriers, and it makes your fans feel important. And that's the whole thing about Pennywise. It's just like we're all equal, and we're no better. And that goes for our band members as well. And we try to like keep an even keel of. And pour this out to try the new concoction.
Yeah, no. And while you're talking, I've been on stage with Broham. I've had people who will never get on stage at a Pennywise show. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, number one, shame on you. Go to a Pennywise show or go YouTube Pennywise Broham, which that song has had a couple lives to it. It was on your debut record, and then you brought it back for 1997's Full Circle album. And that seemed to take another life of its own, and K-Rock Airplay kind of became of that. And of course, you know, that led to Alien from Straight Ahead, and then Big Fuck Authority song from your 2001 Land of the Free. But on Broham, you know, I asked this question of any band, what's the one song, if you were if an alien came down from a spaceship and you had to describe Pennywise in one song, would it be safe to say that, you know, go listen to Broham?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what, you know, this band was founded on, was this brotherhood, and be like, you know, just taking care of each other and loyalty. I mean, it was almost like a gang, but it wasn't like a violent gang or, you know, some street gang we were doing shady shit, of course. We were doing punk rock shit, but it was just about being there for each other. And that song pretty much encompasses what we're about, you know, and friendships and loyalty and all that stuff. It goes a long way. And you see, I mean, cool. Like when you got bands talking about doing cocaine and fast cars and shit, that's totally cool as well. Like there's room for everything. For us, it just morphed into this thing. Jason basically saved me by writing these lyrics to the songs that were uplifting. I'm like, fuck, we can still get drunk, break shit, be crazy, but we can also try to put a positive spin on things, and, you know, we can not only point out the bad things happening in the world, like where most punk bands were, we can put a positive spin on the end of it. So Broham's definitely the most meaningful song, you know, for me. Living for Today, Every Single Day, Rules Made Up by You. We have a lot of songs that have themes that are really, really like words to live by for me. I mean, I was already living that life, but Jason put me into a realm, and Jim as well, obviously, put me into a realm early on of thinking about things a different way. And touching on the subject of you guys and your festivals, what you've done is crazy. It's super. Going to Europe in the early days and playing things like Reading and stuff like that, and seeing the diversity and seeing everybody getting along, we were kind of like blown away by it. You know, Slayer could be playing with Pennywise and, you know, Diane Word or friggin' Ice Cube or everything. So that was really cool in those days. And then the fact that you guys have started doing that and diversifying the bills, it's great. Like Pennywise, Deftones, Chili Peppers. I mean, this year, obviously, I was staying for all 3 days at both Sonic Temple and Aftershock because I'm watching Metallica. So we're playing with friggin' Slipknot. So it's like Slipknot's one of my favorite bands. Metallica's one of my favorite bands, and I'm in a punk rock band. Like that weekend, like me and my lady here, we're just like, this is the golden fucking ticket. We're getting there on Thursday. We're watching Metallica and everybody Friday. We're playing with Slipknot on Saturday, and we're watching Metallica on Sunday, and we're gonna fucking be melon. I was gonna bring a fucking shopping cart of melons.
Yeah, you were. Now you're just pissing me off, because it's like, it's just frustrating that we're all, you know, going through this, but I guess we'll get out of this, you know, and be all the better for it. And I think everybody's so hungry and so thirsty, pun intended, for this to happen again. And brother, you're going to be right there with us, because you know, Pennywise brings it. And that's the thing. So many bands, dude, maybe we'll get, you know, take their 5-hour drive, pull up, do their 40 minutes. But Pennywise, the minute you step on stage, you get the feeling it's the only place you want to be. And it's actually refreshing.
Awesome to hear that from you, and much respect for what you guys have done. I mean, we love the festival the first time we played it, and it was amazing, and that's exactly what we're trying to create. I mean, it's weird because we'll get a lot of people that you wouldn't think would be into Pennywise, you know, someone like Ice-T, you know, or I don't know, just random people over the years in other bands. Like Lemmy was a Pennywise fan. Like we were just playing some Judas Priest earlier, and I went up to Rob Halford. We played a show with him recently, and it was the same type of vibe as yours, a big mixed batch. And I was like, "Can I get a picture?" My lady get a picture, and the security was like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "No, it's all right." And I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Fletcher from Pennywise." So when Rob Halford knows who you are, that's pretty fucking cool, because I mean, we've transcended I think just the spirit of the band and the vibe and the stories about, you know, whether it's breaking the rules or throwing the biggest after party or throwing the biggest pre-party or having the craziest shit happen on stage or having guest people come up with us. It's been a wild ride, and it's really fun, and we're looking forward to getting back and doing it with you guys and doing it with everybody else. I mean,
that's us too, Fletcher. I mean, two more things. It must just be a trip for you. Here you are, you know, a Hermosa Beach, you know, beach rat, and you're in your bedroom. And can you imagine that Rob Halford recognizes you? Does that trip you out ever?
Yeah, no, it tripped me out for sure when it happened. I mean, I was actually on the control board screaming at the sound man to turn it up, turn up the priest, and they actually, I think they said, it was kind of weird because you know about the dB limiter, it's computer screen for those
Very
that don't
well.
know.
Yes.
They can only turn it up so loud or they're going to get sued by the city, and there's a $300,000 fine. This thing's sitting there, and it's flashing right on the limit. I'm like, turn it up, you know, whatever song they're playing. And he's like, I can't, the dB limiter, get the fuck away from me. And I'm like hovering over the poor sound man, drunk as a fucking skunk. And that thing literally fell off. It literally just broke off and fell on the ground. And everyone saw that I didn't touch it. And I'm all, now you got no fucking excuse, turn it up. So there's a rumor going around that I fucking pushed up the volume on those guys. I don't know if they got fined or something and they were trying to pawn it off on me, but I didn't do that. But I met Rob Halford later that night, and he knew who Pennywise was, so I'm sure that he's probably heard that I was over there pushing up the faders on him, or maybe that's why he said hi to me and shook my hand, because he heard I was trying to turn up the priest, which fuck, who wouldn't want that? So
yeah. I'll go with that. I'll go with the latter on that one.
Yeah. I mean, he heard it because when I got to the Slayer stage after I got to Slayer, and I got in there, and their manager's like, don't fucking touch the faders. Don't try to turn anything up. I'm like, what? I didn't turn anything up, but the word was already out that I was over there working the master volume at the front of the house, which I've been known to do many times, but I didn't that time. So that.
Danny Wimmer, note to self, let's keep Fletcher away from our soundboards.
It'll happen, especially if Metallica's playing. Somebody's going to get fined.
I don't think we'll have DB issues there. Hey, we are off stage with DWP. I got Fletcher, who made a special holiday drink for us, his Backstage concoction. We're at the end of our time together. We like to do something on off stage that we call the Encore round. I'm just going to fire some questions, and you got to answer them as quick as you can, okay?
Yep.
First thing that pops to your mind. All right. Sex Pistols or Ramones?
Oh, man, that's a tough one, but it's the Ramones for sure.
All right. X or Black Flag?
Black Flag, love them both, but Black Flag, I mean, come on, dude. 1 Black Flag, 2 Black Flag. I probably got like 5 Black Flag tattoos. So.
No X tattoos, damn it. If you could be a guitar
burn right here, but
if you could be the guitar player in any other band besides Pennywise, what band would that be?
It would be Dimebag Darrell, resurrected from the dead, and me playing second guitar with him all day long.
That's a great answer. Great answer. Wow. Hey, your favorite music doc ever?
Ooh, wow, that's a tough one, man. There's a lot of really good ones out there.
What came to mind?
I mean, the most recent Descendants one came to mind. I mean, there's tons of bitchin' documentaries. I mean, I'd have to say The Decline of the Western Civilization. And for those of you that don't know about it, go get it. I was there opening night in Hollywood. It was nothing but engineer boots up on the seats and bottles rolling down the theater. Penelope Sherpas directed it. There's actually a part 2 called The Metal Years, but it's kind of the beginning of punk rock. You know, in the 80s, you had Black Flag, Circle Jerks, X, a bunch of bands, The Germs. And it's really a really cool raw look at punk rock when it was like really, really small. It's really rough, but it's fucking one of the best documentaries ever. But if you want like a heartfelt story of a band and what they've been through, and a lot of comedy and a lot of like love, The Descendants, man. The Descendants documentary, I don't know what it's called. It's probably called Video Edge or something like that, but that was a bad joke. That one is insanely good because those guys are like the purest motherfuckers, the most real dudes you'll ever meet.
And speaking of the hat you're wearing, your favorite Dodger of all time.
Oh man, that's a tough one, dude. I mean, that is a real tough one.
Somebody came to
Because
mind.
Fernando Venezuela,
Fernando Mania.
whatever.
Are you you're not a lefty, are you?
No, I'm right.
Yeah, I am. And no, Fernando was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
We can all do with some rock and roll and some baseball this summer, right?
Yep. Fucking, and a couple hot dogs and some beverages at both events. So yeah, here's to vaccines and social distancing working, and no fucking halos, full capacity. Let's let it rip. We need to get back. Like you said, people are hungry, man, not only for food and bars, but they're hungry for a music event. And when it does happen, I just think it's going to be, man, these things, your shows, when they come back around, are going to be off the fucking charts, crazy and good. I think, what you take for granted, when it gets taken away from you, your heart really figures out like how important it is. And not being able to play for me has been really rough, and not being able to socialize and hang out and watch live music, let alone go to a bar and have some drinks with my friends. It's like, wow, it's a really, really important lifeblood music for a lot of people. So super looking forward to getting back to going to shows myself and playing some shows. So yeah, sooner than later.
Fletcher, thank you for your time with us. We love you, man. We love Pennywise. God bless punk rock and rock and roll. And I think you said it all. We want to thank you, and to all the families and dads and husbands and wives, take care. And we'll see you at a fucking rock and roll show.